Hello and welcome. Today I'm using Holbein Colored Pencils in my sketchbook. This is the pencil sharpener that I plan on using. This is made by Prismacolor. I've had really good luck with it, but then also sometimes it's like the death of me, so we'll see how it turns out today. My challenge for today is to work on movement. So I drew this line and I'm going to be drawing in rainbow order along this line, and hopefully it will turn out to be a very interesting spread. For this very first red color, I wanted to draw a head because I drew a circle and then it just started looking like a head to me, and then I figured, how in the world can I make this head go along this line? And the only thing I could think of was a tongue. So I ran along with it, and I don't like it. That's okay. This isn't serious. This is just a really cool exercise, and hopefully along the way, something turns out awesome. And just a heads up, there are a few awesome moments that happen, and I'm really excited to show you. I had gotten these Holbein Colored Pencils around the same time that I got the Prismacolor Premier Colored Pencils, and for some reason I just got stuck on the Premier ones that I stopped using the Holbein ones completely. The main reason why I got stuck on the Premier ones instead is simply because the set that I got has more colors than these Holbein ones that only have 12. The Holbein Colored Pencils are pretty pricey. They're not cheap whatsoever. This set of 12 was, I think, $45. So before I invested in a bigger set, which would of course be way more money than $45, I wanted to test out and see if I actually liked them before I started saving up for them. But a funny thing happened. They're more bright than I usually gravitate towards, so I ended up never really using them. So this challenge is really just a way for me to use all of these really bright, awesome colors and make something really cool with them. Don't worry, we will take care of this tongue later, but for now it's gonna stay here. Next up is orange. I really like to start out my sketches with circles. I just think they're really satisfying to draw. So let's draw a bunch of circles and see what happens. I know I keep mentioning this foot spread, and it's not that big of a deal. However, that spread did teach me how to draw the underside of toes, so that's really helpful. And as we move forward with the sketch, I decided to give this creature some shorts. I was picturing like parachute type shorts where they're just really, really, parachute-y. Anyway, so I figured the best way to do that would be to do more circles, and so I end up drawing the full circle shape and then kind of creating like a air balloon pattern on it, and that's really exciting for me because air balloons are my absolute favorite thing to look at in the whole world. So this, without needing to be said, which clearly I'm going to say it anyway, this is my favorite drawing of the whole spread. I'm sorry because it's the second one and we have so much more to go, but I will tell you that my kids have other favorites. I decided that for this challenge, I couldn't only have red, only orange, only yellow. There needed to be other colors mixed in. So I decided that in order to have this still feel very rainbow-esque, but still having each drawing feel very dynamic, I was allowed to use the colors that were right next to it in the rainbow. So for orange, I could use reds and yellows, and I could also use like a little tiny hint of something different, but only in very minuscule ways. I love drawing legs like these. I just think they're really cute. They're very childish, and it gives life to a very unhuman-like character and makes you like him a little bit more, because I feel like it gives him a little bit more humanity when he has human legs. Clearly. It's also just really exciting for me to always draw these legs, so I will draw them at any occasion that I can. Also, it is killing me that the tongue is in this frame. So at any chance that I get, I'm gonna be cropping this so that you cannot see the tongue. I take care of it later. I really do. It just takes me a minute. I was initially really nervous to start the yellow one because I knew that yellow doesn't pick up very well on camera, so I wanted to make sure that I could keep it big and impactful without being too detailed. I hope that makes sense. Of course it makes sense. It was not that confusing to understand. So I went with yellow petals, and then for the big circle thing in the middle, I forget what it's called. I'm so sorry. I wanted that to be brown, and this pack does not have a brown. There are 12 packs of Holbein that you can get that have a brown, but this one doesn't. So I knew that I could just mix a whole bunch of colors and get brown for the middle thing, so that's what I do. It's also really awesome that Holbein layers so well because you can pretty much layer forever as long as you are pushing very lightly, so that's really, really fun. By the way, I was playing Metroid Prime 4 the last time that I talked to you about video games, and I beat it. And I feel like I shouldn't tell you what I'm bummed about. I really liked the game. I think it was an awesome game. So I guess I'll just stay there. I won't say anything else. Yes, I will. It's not that bad. I just wish it was longer. I beat the whole game in like 15 hours, and that's such a bummer when I feel like I was just getting into it. I was just starting. My husband had a really good idea, and that was to play the game on hard mode so that, it takes longer and it's harder, so it makes it last longer. Anyway, so I beat the game and I was looking for another game. I usually go for games that are more indie, I guess. I don't know, I feel like I'm all over the spectrum in multiple ways. Hey, my pencil broke. This is not the first time that this happens, and that's such a bummer, and it could be the pencil sharpener that I'm using. So I won't blame the pencils for this, not necessarily. So after I'm done with the sunflower, I look back at the red picture and I have an idea for how I can make it feel more like it's incorporating with the whole spread, because she's very small right now and the orange and the yellow things are much bigger, so I kind of want her to fill the space a little bit more. And then as I do this, I'm trying to figure out still how I can fix the tongue. The problem is that they don't erase completely, so I have to figure out a way to cover up the tongue rather than erase it. I actually decide to not draw her body and only draw her clothes, and that kind of feels like she's a little bit of a vampire, which is kind of a cool direction to take her. So I'm gonna sit on that for a minute while I move on to do other things, and then I'll come back to it once I have a more solid idea. For now, I'm gonna be done, and I actually sleep on this. So I come back the next morning and I erase the tongue and I move forward with covering up the tongue on the egg. I have an idea and I'm ready to move forward with it. I just realized I never finished my thought. So I was looking for a new game after I finished Metroid Prime, and I stumbled upon a game called Stray. I'm playing on the Switch too, by the way. I hope that helps. And it is an amazing game. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I will tell you that this game exceeds my expectation. The art is beautiful, but in a dark way. The game is kind of dark, but I love that. That's actually my favorite thing, my favorite style. Anyway, I loved the game, and I say loved because I already beat it. I play when the kids go down, or if it's a game that I think that they would like watching, they'll watch me play, or they can play it and I can help them through it, and that's really cool. Oh, so I did like a hand motion there. What I meant by that was I have 3 colors left and a very small space. So I need to keep this green creature a little bit smaller. And for some reason, this I actually had a harder time getting to show up on camera than the yellow one, which is such a bummer. This is my second favorite thing that I draw on this spread, so I'm glad to be continuing on with this challenge and not just stopping after I have a success with the orange one, you know? I also want to say that this is my daughter's very favorite one. My thought for this one was it was supposed to be some kind of like a stag beetle, and I decided to kind of make it my own. I don't think this is what a stag beetle looks like. Also, my very favorite thing to do for points, and I've said it before, but I stand by it. When you have a pointy thing, like the point of this nose here, if you make the tip of the point a little bit darker, it seems pointier. I just think it's kind of a cool juxtaposition where this creature is so cute, in my opinion, but it could really do some damage. If I had to summarize my process for the way that I'm going about these drawings, I want the main color to be the very first pass of color that I do at all. So this, I colored green everywhere first, and then once the green was down, I added shadows with the blues, and then the highlights with the lighter green and the yellow. I also wanted these wings to look a little transparent, and the way that you do that is to just draw really simply, or draw like a simple version of what is supposed to be behind the transparent thing, and only do that in very simple colors. So don't add a lot of detail, keep that very muted, and I think that will help make it look transparent. At least that's how I went about it. The next drawing's color is blue, and I ended up going for an elephant on this one, and I started out with the head just to keep it very low pressure, and then if I got the head looking cool, then I would add the body. And I will tell you, I added the body and it looks so cute. This one is actually my 2 youngest kids' favorite drawings, both of my boys. Maybe they liked it because it was blue, but also the drawing is just really cute. It's very childish and cutesy, and I think that's really fun to draw every once in a while. I was liking how the head was turning out, so I decided to give it a body, and I started out drawing circles so I knew where the shoulder was going to be. And then I drew more circles for the bottoms of the feet. He's gonna be sitting, and I decided he was gonna be looking up at this bug and sitting down in like a very eager fashion. Like he really wants to be friends with it, so he's acting all like innocent and shy. I think that's just really cute. So the very first thing that I did was to give it a very light like wash of blue everywhere, and then once I did that, then I went in and added in some depth and dimension, and then I start to implement the next colors of the rainbow. So I'm going to be adding in some greens and purples. Something about the lighting on this just somehow works, and he ends up looking really cool. I started out with this teal color and did a second like wash over everything with this, so that when I did go over with the light green, it wouldn't feel so stark and that it would blend into the actual picture a little bit better. I have been noticing that these colors blend so beautifully, and it makes the layering just work that much better, and that just makes them so much fun to use. I ended up giving this elephant almost like eyebrows, but not eyebrows, but just like the shading of eyebrows, and it makes him look that much more eager. I love him so much. The last drawing is purple, and I kind of want this last one to feel a little bit simpler than the other ones have been. And since I already opened the door to flowers, I figured I will make this a flower too. I don't really know if this is a flower. I think it's a flower and not a leaf. In any case, it turns out looking really pretty. And I really like how the elephant is sitting on the flower. I think that's just really cute. And is the elephant really tiny or is the flower just gigantic? Both are very valid options. I realized I was trying to say earlier, but I cut myself off again, about video games. I can't stop talking about it, can't stop thinking about it, so can't stop, won't stop, I guess. Video games. I like a lot of different kind of video games. My very favorites of all time are Zelda and Diablo, surprisingly, and recently Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight and Silksong are in my top 5 games of all time. So I guess my point in bringing up video games is if you have a favorite video game and want me to try it, I will absolutely try it. Just please tell me what it is. So back to the drawing. I am ready to cover up the tongue for the final portion. I give her a collar and I think that she ends up looking a lot more like a vampire, and that really fits because she doesn't have a body, and I think that's really cool. But she's done, and now I have an idea for the background. I wish that it was a little bit more obvious in what my purpose was, what my challenge was, and that all of the drawings are flowing along this line. I didn't really make that very obvious, and I think it was the bug that really set it off. Anyway, that's beside the point. So I decided to emphasize the wavy line, and I did the rainbow in a whole bunch of lines kind of following this wavy line to, I guess, really shove it in your face that that was what I was trying to do. And it works. I think it looks really cool in the end. I got done with the purple line, and before I could even think, I grabbed this red and just went for adding in a background. I guess I was thinking like the tiniest bit, but my purpose for doing this was to give a background but leave the wavy lines that I made white. And I quickly regretted it, and I knew that it wouldn't erase, but I tried anyway. But since it didn't erase, I had to move forward with it, and if you can't beat them, join them. So I had to figure out a way to make this work. I knew that the blue would be a little bit too dark of a color to add to the background and might end up taking away from the drawings themselves. So I decided to lean more into the lighter colors so that you could pay more attention to the drawings themselves instead of the background. Ultimately, I think that I would have wanted to do this in maybe like a watercolor, but first of all, watercolor is terrifying, and second of all, I wanted this to be a purely Holbein spread. I wanted to give a shout out to all of the casualties on this spread. There were 5 of them, and I don't know if that was the pencil or the sharpener, but either way, such a bummer. Anyway, I thought this spread was so much fun to do, and I learned a lot about colors and about Holbein pencils themselves. Thank you so much for coming along, and I will see you in the next one. Toodaloo!